Imagine standing at the crossroads of love and regret, where the ghosts of past relationships seep into every text, every call, every shared meal. On this season of 90 Day, the single life, the tension is palpable, the drama unavoidable, and the emotional stakes higher than ever. Pedro, once the steadfast partner viewers watched navigate a cross-cultural romance, now finds himself confronted with a disquieting reality. His new love interest, Sophie, is not just a fresh start. She is a living reminder of past mistakes, past heartbreaks, and, most pointedly, his tumultuous history with Chantel. Simultaneously, Debbie, the mother who has often been the emotional center of her family's ups and downs, is pleading with Cortney in a way that lays bare raw fears, unspoken regrets, and the tender vulnerability of parental concern. Tonight, we unravel the tangled web of romance, obsession, and unresolved emotions that this season has thrown into the spotlight. Behind the flashy moments, the Instagram posts, and the teaser clips lies a deep, personal drama that speaks to all of us. The complexity of love, the shadow of our past choices, and the tension between moving forward and clinging to what we know. As Pedro faces Sophie, and Debbie faces Cortney, viewers across America are left asking, who is truly in control of their heart? And who is destined to repeat the mistakes that television has so unflinchingly captured? To fully grasp the weight of this season, one must understand the intricate histories that brought Pedro and Debbie to this current point. Pedro Jimeno first appeared on 90 Day Fiancé, where his relationship with Chantel Everett captivated audiences. Their love story was lauded as a triumph of cross-cultural romance. Pedro, hailing from the Dominican Republic, navigating the customs and expectations of American life, and Chantel, a young woman from a closely knit family, learning to reconcile love with loyalty. Yet, the fairy tale image was always punctuated by intense family scrutiny, clashing personalities, and moments of heartbreak that left audiences emotionally invested, and at times polarized. Pedro's journey has been more than just a televised romance. Viewers watched him move from the uncertain excitement of international love into the complexities of family dynamics and cultural negotiation. His relationship with Chantel was deeply public, marked by passionate arguments, family interventions, and a highly scrutinized path toward reconciliation and eventual separation. Every public statement, every interview, and every social media post was dissected by a fanbase that has followed the saga with fervent attention. This is the context in which Pedro's new interactions with Sophie are occurring, a landscape charged with expectation, scrutiny, and historical tension. Meanwhile, Debbie, the matriarch whose voice has often mediated or escalated family conflicts, enters this storyline from a place of emotional authenticity and history. Her involvement in the family's public drama has been well documented. Known for her candidness, her passion, and at times, her willingness to intervene in her adult children's lives, Debbie's concerns about Cortney are not new. They are layered with decades of maternal instinct, experience, and a keen awareness of the patterns that often emerge in high-stakes relationships. For those unfamiliar, Cortney's trajectory within the 90 Day universe has been similarly complicated, punctuated by publicized conflicts, reconciliations, and personal growth. Debbie's pleas this season carry the weight of accumulated wisdom and deeply personal stakes. This season of 90 Day, the single life is not merely a continuation of past storylines. It is a magnifying glass on human behavior under pressure. It exposes the intersection of romantic desire, familial loyalty, personal insecurity, and the unrelenting gaze of public attention. Sophie, Pedro's new interest, is more than a narrative catalyst. She embodies a mirror, reflecting both unresolved tensions from Pedro's past and the broader cultural expectations of the audience that has followed him for years. As the season unfolds, the questions become almost philosophical. Can one truly escape the shadows of former relationships? How much of our past shapes our present, even when we strive for independence? And what role does public scrutiny play in the private workings of the heart? In recent episodes, viewers have witnessed Pedro openly acknowledge a phenomenon that many have speculated about but few have dared to confront on camera: Sophie's resemblance. both in demeanor and in interpersonal style, to Chantel. According to sources close to production, Pedro's comments were not made lightly. His reflection that Sophie reminds him of Chantel has created ripples across the fan community, sparking debates about emotional transference, unresolved attachment, and the psychological dimensions of dating post-divorce or post-separation. While Pedro has maintained that his attraction to Sophie is genuine, insiders suggest that production encouraged the inclusion of these moments to heighten dramatic tension. This is a delicate intersection of personal truth and entertainment strategy, where emotions are authentic, but narrative framing amplifies every gesture, every glance, every hesitation. Simultaneously, Debbie's interaction with Cortney has escalated into what many fans have described as the emotional epicenter of the season. Debbie is seen imploring Cortney to reconsider choices that, from her perspective, could have lasting repercussions. According to verified reports and publicly released clips, Debbie's pleas focus on communication, trust, and the repeated patterns she has observed in her daughter's relationships. While Cortney's responses are varied, from defensive to reflective, they offer a rare glimpse into the tension between parental guidance and adult autonomy. Sources suggest that producers intentionally filmed multiple angles of these conversations, recognizing the unique opportunity to capture multi-generational emotional complexity on camera. Legally, there are no implications at this stage, though public statements and social media posts have the potential to influence custody negotiations or public perceptions if any legal proceedings emerge. Financially, the season's high viewership translates to substantial advertising revenue for TLC, with heightened engagement around Pedro and Sophie's storyline boosting digital metrics. Politically, while there is no governmental angle, the cultural conversation around cross-cultural relationships and family intervention, long a staple of 90 Day Fiancé, remains significant in shaping narratives about immigrant integration, familial hierarchy, and gender dynamics. Media coverage has exploded in response to these episodes. Entertainment outlets from Entertainment Tonight to People magazine have analyzed Pedro's comments and Debbie's pleas, while YouTube content creators dissect the implications with frame-by-frame analysis. Fan reactions are split. Some empathize with Pedro's struggle to reconcile past and present, while others criticize the perceived over-identification with Chantel, suggesting it may hinder his ability to form fully independent romantic bonds. Legally, there are no implications at this stage, though public statements and social media posts have the potential to influence custody negotiations or public perceptions if any legal proceedings emerge. Financially, the season's high viewership translates to substantial advertising revenue for TLC, with heightened engagement around Pedro and Sophie's storyline boosting digital metrics. Politically, while there is no governmental angle, the cultural conversation around cross-cultural relationships and family intervention, long a staple of 90 Day Fiancé, remains significant in shaping narratives about immigrant integration, familial hierarchy, and gender dynamics. Media coverage has exploded in response to these episodes. Entertainment outlets from Entertainment Tonight to People magazine have analyzed Pedro's comments and Debbie's pleas, while YouTube content creators dissect the implications with frame-by-frame analysis. Fan reactions are split. Some empathize with Pedro's struggle to reconcile past and present, while others criticize the perceived over-identification with Chantel, suggesting it may hinder his ability to form fully independent romantic bonds. The timeline of these developments is critical to understanding the full impact. Pedro's interactions with Sophie began in early 2025, shortly after his public separation from Chantel. Initial episodes documented casual dates, conversations over dinner, and social media exchanges, all framed within the broader context of post-divorce exploration. By mid-season, the resemblance to Chantel, both in behavior and in conversational style, emerged as a narrative focal point. For Debbie and Cortney, the tension peaked around episode 7, where a confrontation in a private family setting was aired, showing Debbie's concern over Cortney's choices in a vulnerable, emotionally charged moment. These events, when mapped chronologically, reveal a layered story of cause and effect, where personal histories, new relationships, and familial concerns collide in real time. From a psychological standpoint, Pedro's recognition of Sophie's similarities to Chantel aligns with well-documented patterns of romantic transference. Experts in relationship psychology suggest that individuals often seek familiarity in new partners, unconsciously gravitating toward traits, habits, or emotional responses reminiscent of past relationships. Dr. Allison Taylor, a licensed clinical psychologist specializing in relationship dynamics, notes, Pedro's statements are not merely nostalgia. They reflect an intrinsic human tendency to recreate familiar relational environments, even when consciously seeking novelty. As the drama of Pedro, Sophie, Debbie, and Cortney unfolds, viewers must consider the long-term implications, not just for the individuals involved, but for the 90-day franchise, for reality TV storytelling, and for the very culture of televised relationships. This season presents a rare lens through which to examine how unresolved emotions, cross-generational tension, and the pressures of public scrutiny intersect to influence choices, behaviors, and outcomes in high-profile personal narratives. For Pedro, the path forward is as much about self-awareness as it is about romance. Experts in relationship psychology note that recognizing patterns from past relationships is a critical step toward breaking cycles that can otherwise repeat indefinitely. If Pedro continues to perceive Sophie through the lens of his experiences with Chantel, he risks creating a relational feedback loop where past insecurities and unresolved feelings dictate present behavior. For viewers, this provides an important case study: the difficulty of truly moving forward when old emotional wounds remain unexamined. Reports suggest that producers are capturing this internal struggle in real time, creating a narrative arc that is equal parts entertainment and emotional investigation. Whether Pedro ultimately succeeds in forming a fully independent connection with Sophie will likely define the remainder of this season, and by extension, influence how audiences interpret his previous and future decisions. Sophie herself represents a new frontier in these dynamics. While her intentions appear genuine, the public scrutiny she now faces could significantly impact her own behavior and sense of autonomy. Social media commentators and fan discussions suggest that the weight of comparison to Chantel, amplified by thousands of viewers dissecting every gesture, can influence Sophie's choices in subtle yet profound ways. This raises broader questions about the psychological impact of reality TV. When the lens of millions is trained on an intimate relationship, how much agency does any participant truly retain? Can authentic connection survive under the constant gaze of both the camera and the audience? For Debbie and Cortney, the stakes are equally high. Debbie's repeated interventions, while rooted in maternal concern, may serve to heighten tension, revealing a timeless dilemma. How much should parents involve themselves in the adult relationships of their children? Beyond the glitz, the staged conversations, and the carefully framed shots lies a very human story, one that resonates with viewers because it is unmistakably real. Pedro's interactions with Sophie and Debbie's heartfelt pleas to Cortney reveal the profound emotional currents that run beneath the surface of reality television, touching on universal human experiences: love, loss, familial loyalty, and the persistent tension between past and present selves. This is the dimension that transforms a simple storyline into a compelling social phenomenon, the reason millions of Americans are not just watching but feeling every interaction. For Pedro, the emotional landscape is complex and fraught with subtle contradictions. Having endured the public dissection of his previous relationship with Chantel, he faces a dual challenge: forming a genuine connection with Sophie while simultaneously confronting the echoes of a past romance that shaped him profoundly. Reports suggest that he experiences moments of cognitive dissonance, recognizing traits in Sophie that remind him of Chantel, yet striving to view her as her own person. This internal struggle is not just relatable. It is emblematic of a psychological truth that resonates with many viewers: the difficulty of disentangling new love from old patterns. In interviews outside the show, Pedro has expressed a mixture of hope and hesitation, noting that while he wants a fresh start, the emotional imprint of his past is undeniable. His vulnerability is laid bare, creating a narrative that is both gripping and profoundly human. Sophie, meanwhile, experiences her own emotional journey, navigating not only a developing romance but the intense scrutiny of a global audience. Sources close to production indicate that she has confided in producers about her awareness of Pedro's comparisons and her efforts to establish her individuality within the relationship. Her emotional resilience, her patience, and her willingness to engage openly with Pedro's insecurities create a layered portrait of a partner balancing empathy, self-awareness, and vulnerability. Fans have responded with an outpouring of support for Sophie, often highlighting her composure and emotional intelligence as exemplary. In many ways, Sophie represents the quiet strength of someone striving to honor both her own feelings and the emotional complexities of another person's past. Debbie's emotional presence in the narrative is equally compelling. For viewers, her pleas to Cortney resonate because they echo a timeless maternal dilemma: the desire to protect, guide, and intervene in a child's life, weighed against respect for autonomy and adulthood. Debbie's fears are rooted not in control for control's sake, but in lived experience. She has witnessed patterns of miscommunication, impulsivity, and relational missteps that could have lasting consequences. In her interactions with Cortney, there is a raw, unfiltered emotional intensity, the kind of authentic concern that is rare to capture so candidly on television. Her voice carries authority, empathy, and at times, desperation, qualities that humanize her and remind viewers that behind every family drama is a network of real emotions, long histories, and enduring love. From a fan perspective, these emotional dynamics are a point of deep connection. Social media commentary is filled with posts from viewers who see their own experiences reflected in the screen. The challenges of starting over after heartbreak, the tension between parental advice and adult decision-making, the haunting presence of former partners in new relationships. One viral post encapsulated this sentiment perfectly. Watching Pedro wrestle with Sophie and the shadow of Chantel is like watching my own heart on TV. It's painful, beautiful, and impossible to look away from. Millions of fans echo this sentiment, demonstrating that the emotional human angle extends far beyond the immediate cast, shaping a collective cultural empathy around love, growth, and resilience. There is also an intimate lens on family dynamics at play. Pedro's interactions with Sophie are inseparable from the backdrop of family scrutiny, particularly from Chantel's extended network, which remains invested in the narrative even after their separation. Similarly, Debbie's concern for Cortney intersects with broader family expectations, generational values, and the unspoken emotional codes that govern parental relationships. The result is a multi-layered emotional tapestry where private feelings, family influence, and public perception collide. These tensions elevate the show from mere entertainment to a study in human emotion, providing viewers with insight into the subtleties of interpersonal dynamics that are often invisible in everyday life. Finally, the emotional impact extends to the audience's own reflection on their lives. By observing Pedro, Sophie, Debbie, and Cortney navigating these emotionally charged scenarios, viewers are invited to examine their own experiences with love, loss, family, and self-awareness. The resonance is visceral. It sparks conversation in living rooms, online forums, and social media platforms. It fosters empathy for others' emotional struggles, and it challenges viewers to consider how their own pasts influence present relationships. In essence, the show becomes more than a narrative. It becomes a mirror, reflecting universal human emotions in all their complexity, fragility, and resilience. Culturally, the consequences ripple beyond television. Pedro's struggle to reconcile past and present relationships, coupled with Debbie's maternal interventions, has catalyzed national conversations about attachment, emotional health, and relational accountability. In classrooms, therapy groups, and online communities, fans reference these episodes as case studies in emotional literacy, using televised reality as a mirror for personal introspection. This elevates a story that might otherwise be dismissed as mere entertainment into a platform for social learning, highlighting the power of reality television to provoke meaningful dialogue about human behavior.